It's Two on the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, reviews of Skylight, An American in Paris, Gigi, and Airline Highway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Two on the Aisle. Good evening. I am the aforementioned Charles Gross, and you are definitely not Leslie. This is Rob Frielander. He is the winner of the Be a Critic contest that he won, actually a friend of yours or a relative of yours.
Relative, yeah.
Won at an auction at Westchester Hebrew High School.
That's correct.
Okay. Is this the first time you've ever tried to review a play?
It is.
And what do you do normally?
I work for an organization called Human Rights First. They're part of the specialized human rights lobby in Washington, D.C.
Very nice. Okay, and the play is Skylight. And I'm just going to hold this up to the camera here. What I love about this playbill is this is kind of retro. This is what playbills were like about 50 years ago.
Right.
Very different from how they are today, as you'll see when we review some of our other shows. This is a revival of the David Hare play. It's, I guess, man and a woman reuniting. She was his mistress. His wife found out. She broke it up. He's very wealthy. She's not. He's a bit older, and he's come to see her on the almost anniversary of his wife's death.
Right.
Okay, so take it from there.
Okay, well, again, I'm not a critic.
That's okay.
And I don't see that many plays, maybe a handful every few years, but an excellent performance by Carey Mulligan and Bill Nighy.
Right, as the couple.
As the couple. I think there was a 20-year age difference between, at least between Carey and Bill. She was in, I think, her very early 30s, and he was a bit older, certainly at least in his mid-50s.
At the very least.
Right. And you could sense, though, that there was real passion, or at one point, real passion between the two of them that had dissipated for various reasons. Just an exceptional performance by both Carey Mulligan and Bill Nighy. You could sense there was real palpable tension between the two of them. They had been lovers, I think, for 6 years before the wife found out.
Right, and she worked for him. He is a very wealthy restaurant owner. He owns several restaurants. And he's there, shows up in a Mercedes, chauffeur-driven, and his chauffeur's being left downstairs to wait for him, which she takes exception to.
Right.
And she's a teacher now, and not doing very well income-wise, but she finds the work rewarding, certainly.
Why do you think that she takes exception to the driver?
Well, she's, I guess, very liberal in nature and very into equality, I guess, and she doesn't feel that someone should be treated like that. Even though he obviously states this is his job, it's what he does. He's sitting in a very comfortable car, reading a gentleman's magazine, I think he said, and he gets paid very well to do it.
Right.
So don't feel so sorry for the guy.
Right. At the risk of being overprepared, I read a little bit about David Hare, the
playwright.
The playwright, and it's my understanding that he likes to examine issues of social immobility, economic inequality, and you could see a lot of that, certainly an important issue in American society today and in European society. It was on full display in this very personal, in these personal exchanges between the two characters.
Right, well, I think the basis of it really hasn't changed. I think the play is about 20 years old, give or take.
That's right, yeah. Early 1990s, yeah.
Right, I remember seeing the original, I think it was Michael Gambon playing the man. He had an interesting habit of just walking around the stage with making these facial expressions.
Right.
And he does this too, but certainly not to the same extent. So I'm gathering that you liked the play.
Yeah, I was completely engaged throughout. I liked the fact that the son, when he walked in at the beginning,
right, the man's son comes in.
Right, was wearing a Discman, which is certainly anachronistic is the best way to put it these days. This kind of block of machinery that you don't see. I thought it was interesting I thought it'd be interesting to ask a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old about this play because there weren't any beeps or noises or phones or other devices going off. It was just the exchange between two people, and silence and snow falling, really.
Right. Well, she does have a telephone, and she has an intercom that apparently doesn't work very well. She's in a very decrepit apartment. It doesn't even have central heating.
Right.
And he's there. Oh, well, I can get you central heating. I know this guy, or I can.
Right.
She's trying to make him dinner. She looks at the cheese, and he's a restaurateur. So you can do better than this. Right. You know, and she makes him use that cheese. I did enjoy the play very much when I originally saw it 20 years ago. I was not as drawn into it as you were. Again, I think I'm in the minority of this, but you know, they're two good actors giving two good performances, but I did not find the play very engaging.
Why is that?
I don't know. I guess because the characters just didn't draw me in. You know, you want to empathize with them. You want to feel for them. You know, you want to follow them. You want some, you know, okay, well, how's this going to work out? How's it going to happen? Even though I kind of know how it is, you can still be engaged by something like this.
Was there something cliche?
And I really wasn't.
Was there something cliche about these characters?
Yes, I suppose there was. You know, he's the conservative, she's the liberal. Right. You know, this could have been a Norman Lear sitcom. Right. I suppose back in the day. Right. You know, put Archie and Maude in the room. Of course, it would have been done a lot louder. Right. Than this.
Saltier language, yeah.
I suppose, but that doesn't necessarily have to be a problem. And again, I do recall enjoying the play when I first saw it. I did not enjoy it as much. So, on a 1 to 5 scale, how would you rate it?
I got a 3.5, close to a 4.
Okay.
So it gets anywhere between an A- and a B+.
Okay.
They were certainly, both were believable in their respective roles. Although I did sense that the liberal was...
That's the girl.
Right. Carrie was, when she was making the case, it was a little forced. I believed her, but I could tell that she had prepared, her character had prepared, the playwright had prepared this very sophisticated liberal argument that was, you know, to be placed in front of this accepting audience. But you could see the holes. You know, if you're if you have a certain facility with language, or if you're, you know, close enough to what's going on politically, you sense that there might have been holes in her argument. She was just making the argument because she wanted to engage, you know, so loudly with this.
Well, that does happen sometime, and that could either be by design, or maybe the playwright just didn't have a strong enough argument in general. I would give it closer to 3 playbills. You have two, you know, fine actors. I did like the actor playing the son. You've got the playbill, so
yes. And, I believe it was.
Check the director while you're at it.
Yes. Matthew Beard played Edward, right.
He has 2 small scenes. He does them nicely. And this was directed by...
Let's see.
We always have trouble finding that also.
Designed... Stephen Daldry.
Yeah, Stephen Daldry. Okay. I would give this closer to about 3 playbills. So, you know, B-C.
B-C.
B-C, yes. All right. Well, Rob, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Really enjoyed having you.
Pleasure to be here.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, we're back, and Leslie is here.
Yes, the late Leslie Blake. Well, here I am.
the very late Leslie Blake, yes. Very quickly, how did you like Skylight?
I liked it very much this time. I didn't like it at all the first time.
Really?
I did find it polemical. I got to sit on the sidelines and hear what you guys said. So, I would have given it 4.
Okay.
I liked it that much.
Really? I liked it. I think I liked it better the first time around.
And I didn't see, and I liked Bill Nye.
I said I was in the minority, and I guess I am.
But I didn't like them as a couple. Quite honestly, I never liked whoever the two were. The older man always it seemed very icky to me.
Okay.
The age difference is so great.
Right. Well, let's talk about American in Paris.
Nothing icky about American in Paris. American in Paris, my dears, is to be seen, to be enjoyed, to be savored, and perhaps to be seen a second time. This play has won 12 Drama Desk nominations. I'm not sure how many Tonys it got. We'll have to check that later. The writer, the leading man, the leading lady, the director, choreographer, and it is a brilliant adaptation of the movie, which a lot of people haven't seen. I was very surprised, Charlie, that there were so many people who did not know the movie. brief is a young man decides to stay in Paris after World War II, and it's his adventures. He's an artist. A lot of things he draws. He's played by Gene Kelly in the movie. A lot of things he draws, and they come to life, and they're, you know, and it's all done to Gershwin's American in Paris suite. So it's wonderful balletic movements, and then he gets the girl at the end, who's played by Leslie Caron, and she's a ballet star. You know, and there's a couple. There's a singer, French singer, and an American pianist, yes, who was played by Oscar Levant in the movies.
Right.
Anyway,
as a matter of fact, Brandon Urwitz, who plays the character, says, yeah, it's at one point he says, yes, I'm Oscar Levant.
Yes, I'm Oscar Levant. They make a reference
well,
to that.
They have made a lot of changes.
Well, they've made, but all to the good. The changes that they've made, I have never seen a play of this kind that's adapted from a movie that makes it better than a perfect movie was. And the way they did that was to add all of what was going on in World War II. The people who the pianist we just talked about is Jewish. The girl is Jewish. They talk about what happened to the Jews. The boy's parents hid the girl, but they're ashamed of it because she was Jewish.
Well, no.
Oh, yes.
They hid her. They're not ashamed of her. They're letting her son marry her.
They're ashamed of having done it, and they're ashamed of what their people did, what the French did to the Jews.
They're not ashamed. They're not ashamed of having hidden her. Okay.
That.
Well, the interesting thing is, you know, plot-wise, their son, played very nicely by Max von Essen. He's a singer.
Job.
They want him in the family business, but he wants to sing, and he may or may not be gay, which is a plot device that worked very nicely in Sideshow, but doesn't really work. And they never actually say.
It's not in the movie at all. This is an addition.
It's
an
addition.
Play.
And here's I really did not enjoy the play as much as you. Gene Kelly, one of the most charismatic performers ever. Leslie Caron. Very charismatic.
This young lady looked like Leslie Caron.
She did.
She was delightful.
But and listen, Robert Fairchild, who plays the Gene Kelly role, Leon Cope, I think it is.
Yes, that's her name.
These are ballet dancers, and
who sing very well.
And that worked very nicely with On the Town, where they had a ballet dancer playing one of the lead roles. But neither of them have a Broadway stage presence. So you have three guys going after Leon Cope, and you wonder, what is it about her? There's nothing about this woman that makes me think, why are all these guys just so desperate for her?
I believe American in Paris was Leslie Caron's first movie, and she was a ballet dancer, and they ripped her apart in some of the reviews. I went back and looked. They didn't like her. Her face was funny, and she had an accent. And
her face is funny.
Well,
she did have an accent, but that's okay. It's French.
But I'm saying that the people have had problems with this particular role. She's a waif. She's a true little waif, and this girl who plays her is a waif.
Yes, but
and it's right after the war, and she's been starved. I mean, all of them should be thin. Everybody who's living in Paris should be thin.
Right.
They're still standing on bread lines.
And there are questions that I have to ask. You know, again, why does the Levitz character, again, very nicely played by Brandon Ivanowitz, want her? Why does the Gene Kelly character want her? Why does the son want her? And why is the parents who are doing doing so much to keep up their facade of respectability, why are they forcing almost their son to marry a Jewish woman, given how people, looked on that type of relationship back then, especially right after World War II.
Maybe if that gay subtext is there in that, it's so that he gets married for sure, and it's married to somebody that they know who loves him, because she loves him like a brother.
Right.
She's basically grown up with him, and so she knows and loves
they're
him.
very vague on it.
Yeah, but they don't need to be any more specific, I don't think.
I felt they did.
Anyway, the music blows you out of the theater.
I never realized how many I Got songs the Gershwins wrote. There was I Got Rhythm, I Got Jiggly Legs, or whatever it is. I got this. I did not enjoy this. I like the dancing. When they're dancing, when they did American in Paris, that worked beautifully. Fidgety feet, excuse me.
Yes, you are in the minority, and it's up for umpteen thousand, awards. And
I don't understand why.
What I
would give this maybe 2.5 playbills.
Okay, what I think is interesting, it's up against On the Town, and the two best revivals are, shows that are. It's actually a new Broadway show.
You know what?
It was never a Broadway show.
On the Town does it better.
If you say so. The projections on this are phenomenal. Anyway, how many would I give it? Because we're rushing now. How many would I give it? I would give it 5.
Really?
Five. I've done that once before.
Oh,
5.
my goodness.
You bet.
All right. Well, continuing our theme of shows that take place in France during the 50s. Yes, shows based on movies.
This is based on a play, based on a movie.
Right. This is also based on the musical Gigi. This was Alan and the Lerner and Lowe's follow-up to My Fair Lady. And one very clever critic wrote, Lerner and Lowe should sue themselves, because it's also about a young lady, learning and to an extent reinventing herself. This movie also starred Leslie Caron. We're having a Leslie Caron festival without Leslie Caron.
The night they invented champagne, the stars came out to shine like bubbles in our wine. The night they invented champagne, the laughter in the street made all of Paris sweet.
Oh, Gigi, while you were trembling on the brink, was I out yonder somewhere blinking at a star? Oh, Gigi, have I been standing up too close or back too far? When did your sparkle turn to fire and your warmth become desire?
Some of the crumble is heard in the land, hailing la vie parisienne. Joy and remorse, delight and divorce, and Paris is vicily Paris. Paris is willingly Paris. Paris is Paris again.
Leon Cope could have played both of them. If they should have held Gigi for 2 years and then let her play the lead.
Well, you have Vanessa Hudgens from High School Musical, who I thought did actually very nicely in the role. And you have the interesting Howard McGilligan in the Maurice Chevalier role. One thing you will note if you're familiar with the movie, he does not sing Thank Heaven for Little Girls. Do you know why? Because audiences found it creepy to have some older man sing that song. I think they're really taking it out of context. It was fine when Maurice Chevalier did it.
Right.
Apparently,
only
times
Maurice
have
Chevalier
really
could get away
changed.
with it. That's the whole point.
Apparently. Now, this is actually technically a revival because Gigi was on Broadway in the 70s. Alfred Drake played
God
the
bless
Chevalier
Alfred
role,
Drake,
probably one of the last roles he did, I guess. It failed. So they have done extensive rewriting.
Never heard of the girl who played it again. Can't remember her name. I looked it up and I can't remember it now. Sorry.
Right. You have Corey Cott as Gaston, about as different from Louis Jourdan as you will ever get.
Well, here's what we got. We got High School Gigi, High School Musical Gigi, because the guy, in order to make him look right against her, they cast somebody much younger. Gaston was much older originally. Gaston was 38. This guy looks maybe 22.
Right.
If that.
And
he's small.
the impression is Gigi is a little older also.
Yes, so it's all off, because if Gigi's a little older, then she's a little dumber, because she doesn't know anything, and they're teaching her all kinds of weird.
Well,
things.
they're basically teaching her to be a mistress.
Yes,
and
to be a high price, to be a courtesan.
Yes.
Not a mistress, a courtesan. That's even better. No, I mean the same thing, but it's higher priced.
Yes.
That's what it is.
And she goes to lessons with her aunt. And Gaston is a family friend. Gigi's grandmother had taught him calligraphy. But the interesting thing is here, this Gaston would be very much at home on The Big Bang Theory. He's a techno nerd.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Except the technology, of course, is different in the early 1900s. He's a nerd. He's not this suave romantic. No. In fact, when he does the song It's a Bore, one of my favorites, it's that not so much that he's just bored in general, just certain things interest him. The game that people of his status are supposed to play is boring. Right. He'd rather tinker. Or he'd rather invest in, balloons or something like that. There was a number,
speaking of balloons, there's a number that they do on the beach, which I thought I was going to die. Because never was there a more American girl on the beach anywhere. It was like beach party Gigi. Gigi gives Gidget. I don't know what to call it. I really disliked this. I was so intensely. Oh God! The veteran performers, Howard McGilligan, Dee Hoty, and the lovely Victoria Clark all deserve battle pay for doing this show, because nobody's paying attention to them.
You know what?
Really.
I will tell you, I had a much better time at this than I did it with American in Paris.
Okay. This is why we do this. This is why we do thumbs up, thumbs down.
The story worked for me. I ironically, completing the trilogy of 1950s musicals that take place in Paris, my favorite one this year was Can-Can, which I saw at the Paper Mill Playhouse. I thought it would come to Broadway.
It's
So far, it hasn't.
to encores for 5 performances starring Jake. Oh no, I'm wrong.
No.
Wrong. It's Little Shop of Horrors. Sorry, I'm
Okay,
wrong.
well, that's...
Yeah, no, something else.
That's for another...
I thought I was
How do
giving
you
information.
confuse Can-Can with Little Shop of Horrors?
Because I saw Can-Can at Encores. I did.
Oh, okay.
I saw the one at Encores.
And it was a
Patty
really...
LaBelle.
Of the 3, I thought that was by far the best.
Well-
Unfortunately, I don't think it will come to Broadway.
Yeah.
I did like Gigi. I
You'd
did
have to give it how many playbills?
I'd have to give it at least 3.
Okay.
I might go a little higher.
Well, let me see. I did 5 for American
You
in Paris.
did.
Can I do minus anything?
I'm afraid
Is that allowed?
we don't do minus.
No, that I will give this 1. I
Ooh, you
really was
really?
uncomfortable
Okay.
and unhappy.
The interesting thing, yeah, I like this better than
Okay.
American in Paris. And I think On the Town is better than
Right.
than
I
all
agree
all
with
of
you.
them.
They're all. It's
Okay.
wonderful.
Well, now let's go into something that, interestingly, this is not in Paris, but it does have a French Quarter.
Okay.
So we're going to New Orleans now.
Yes.
For American Highway.
Okay, and American Highway is up for Best Play of the Year award, and it's very interesting. The woman's name is Lisa Lamour, which sounds like a Tennessee Williams title, name. Lisa Damour, and the play is kind of like quasi pseudo, whatever imitation.
Imitation what?
A Tennessee Williams. It's not as kind of flavor, but it's a bunch of people stuck in a place who talk a lot, who have monologues. They step forward and they kind of have a little blue light goes on, and they speak their monologues about better times or worse times or who they really are underneath. And they're drag queens and transvestites and all the sort of
and a baby-faced stripper.
and baby-faced strippers and just all the trash that Williams liked to write about, especially in his later days. I mean, he started with The Streetcar Named Desire, and then he sort of went to a lot of these strange little plays at the end. And this is like one of those highly populated. He wrote a play called, my God, it was On the Something or Other. It had 26 characters, and one of them was Camille, and one of them was all these famous characters who were dying and whatnot. Camino Real, that was it. This is like Camino Real, only they're all in a motor inn. And it's a dying hooker's birth.
No. She's a burlesque star. They're having her funeral early.
Okay.
she's
Yes,
not
you're right.
quite dead
You're right.
yet.
And she wasn't a hooker, right? The other one was a hooker.
Right.
Her friend is a hooker.
Well, there's
and
yes,
she's not
from
dead
the,
yet.
From the
I
Little
love
Dog
that part of
Left.
it. And there's some lovely performances. Julie White from the Little Dog, yes.
Yes.
Who's up for several nominations. But frankly, and it was directed by Joe Mantello, so I had great hopes. But there's only so much you can do with a script that isn't there. It's a lot of strands of things pulled together. And I think everybody is getting kind of excited because she's a young girl and she wrote this kind of ballsy kind of play. So she's getting a lot of attention. Good
And
for
this is
her.
Steppenwolf, isn't it?
Say it again?
Steppenwolf?
Steppenwolf. Yes.
Steppenwolf,
I'm sorry. I didn't know what you were saying. Steppenwolf performance. And years ago, Steppenwolf did a play called Bomb in Gilead by Lanford Wilson, which had the same kind of multiple characters, and they were all kinds of people. But when they did that, it was original, and this is not original. I didn't find anything original about this. Good performances, a lot of monologues that people can go take out in acting classes, and do them. But I didn't find it original, and I listened.
You know what I
awake.
loved? The set.
Set was okay. It was a trashy motor inn.
Yeah,
the pieces kept
and
falling
I
off
think
it,
you know what?
You were there
For the briefest of seconds, you'd say, I wouldn't mind staying there. And then, yes, I would.
Whoa, please. Okay. All
Well,
right.
you imagine it as what it was.
a brief second.
Back
in the day.
Decades ago. I have to point out, you're right about Tennessee Williams writing those plays, but they're not really the ones he's remembered for.
I know, but
and there's a good reason for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Couldn't have
pretty
said it
much
better.
agree with you on on this. I was bored by it. I didn't.
Big cast.
Yeah, I like Caroline Neff as the stripper.
Kate Todd Friedman was
and
wonderful.
Carolyn Braver. She's the stepdaughter. One of the people who got out, namely by hooking up with an older, wealthier woman, comes back to join the party, and he brings this, I think, 16, 17-year-old girl with him who's wants to interview the people, and she does. And you have to wonder, what kind of moron, given what goes on and given how he behaves,
But see,
what kind of genius,
because she's a plot point. She needs to be there.
It's a Joe Tippett, and
something
I think
to happen. But she needs. In other words, it's not organic.
And his nickname is Bait Boy. No, it's not
It's
organic.
not organic.
It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. I mean, you
Good
see the
individual thing.
potential for a woman like this. 2.5 at the max.
2.
That's generous.
1.5. I don't see
Yeah.
any point in giving it anything
Yeah.
because you know I don't really see. I think perhaps this young woman has a future. It's very
I think
possible.
so.
I don't really
I think
know.
so. Well, we'll you know
so-
we'll see, because you know the same woman who wrote Mineola Twins also wrote How I
Yes,
Learned to Drive.
Vogel.
Paula Vogel.
Paula Vogel.
Mineola Twins was terrible, horrible. How I Learned to Drive was incredible.
Both of them came out of
So
Circle Rep.
This
so I
young
kind
this
of have
young
a-
lady's next play, who knows?
Paula Vogel came out of Circle
But
Rep.
it
you
ain't gonna be this one.
know. Okay. Anyway.
All right.
So next time you go to see either a good or a bad play, look for
Yes.
Charlie and me.
Us too.
On the aisle.
aisle.